Before we start, one thing needs to be said. Borderlands 4 is a hot mess on PC. But once again, you would never know it by reading a lot of these reviews. And since the game has been out, the user reviews are a stark contrast to the ones being put out by these outlets. I think it's sitting at mixed at the moment. So what's going on with these review sites? One of three things are happening. Either they are purposely covering up these issues for certain studios, perhaps because they're getting a lot of money to advertise their game on their sites, which, by the way, this advertisement money is pretty much the lifeline for a lot of these websites. Most of them would probably go belly up if not for that. 2K Games spends a shit ton of money on advertisements, and so it's possible that some of these outlets just look the other way anytime they're faced with performance issues to keep that gravy train rolling. The second thing it could be, they have just collectively decided to move on from mentioning technical issues because they feel we just don't care about that anymore. And we're going to buy the game regardless. The third possibility is that they're just so damn incompetent, they wouldn't know what bad optimization looked like if it hitched a ride in a comet and landed directly on their head. Not going to pretend like I know what the reason is. Maybe it's a combination of the three. Maybe it's something else. But at this point in time, does it really even fucking matter anymore? The damage has been done. They have helped usher in this trend of day one bonfires to the point where it's gotten so bad, it's like a game that comes out and doesn't need a half dozen patches in order to play respectfully has now become the exception to the rule. A fucking unicorn. And let's just apply some common sense. If a small indie studio, tiny ass budget, very small team of like 3 or 4 developers, sometimes one, if they can manage a multi-billion-dollar juggernaut like 2K Games and a studio like Gearbox who has sold millions and millions of copies over time, they should be able to manage. There is just no excuse for this. Yet it continues to happen over and over and over and over again. And it will continue to happen over and over and over again if there's no drawback, if there are no cons for releasing a hot steamy pile of shit. They don't get negative reviews over it, and they make their money anyway. There's actually no incentive for them to take their time and let that motherfucker cook until it's done. There's just no incentive for them to be better. We continue to buy their games anyway. In fact, I'm hearing Borderlands 4 did record-breaking numbers on Steam. And so the message that we're sending them, and it's a very clear message, is that no matter how poorly optimized your game is, no matter how big of a train wreck it is, we're still going to give you our money. We are all part of the problem, including myself, and we need to do better as consumers. And I know this video is supposed to be about the PlayStation 5 version, and we're going to get there. Today, it might not be affecting console players, but tomorrow it most certainly will. So we're all in the same boat here. Support each other when shit like this happens. Put all that console fanboy fuckery aside. Because these developers seem to not respect or give a shit about us equally. Alright, we're all in the same boat here. We all want the same things. We want to feel like we got value for our money, and all we ask is for that motherfucker to run somewhat respectfully without needing a dozen patches. Is that too much to fucking ask? PlayStation 5 version. First of all, I'm annoyed right off the rip. There's no FOV slider. Not gonna be an issue for some people, but I want an FOV slider. I don't care if I'm playing on a Steam Deck, Nintendo Switch, Xbox, a fucking Ouya, playing on a tiny screen, giant screen, projection screen. I don't give a fuck. I want an FOV slider in my first-person games. And it should be a standard at this point. It's not 2006, guys. There's just certain things that should be a standard at this point, and FOV slider, in my opinion, is one of them. When I'm extra zoomed in, it's like I have this claustrophobic feeling, and it prevents me from playing long sessions. And I would also appreciate the option to turn the motion blur on because, for one, it sometimes can increase your performance, and for two, I'm not a huge fan of it, especially when it's not done well and everything looks blurry because of it. So FOV slider and having the ability to turn motion blur off should be a standard. At the beginning of the game, it's butter smooth, and that's partly because you're in these smaller areas, not a lot going on, not a lot of enemies on screen at the same time just yet. However, when a lot of stuff does start to happen on screen, that's when you start to see some dips. And when the action starts to slow down, the frame rate will stabilize. I still have a ways to go in this game, but so far I would say it doesn't seem like it has any major performance issues. Now that of course can change. I feel so far it's a better launch than what Borderlands 3 was on console, and so far from what I've played, I also feel it's a better game. And hopefully it remains that way. So I hope you got something out of the video. Tensions are really high right now, guys. Don't get lured into a bad situation that you're going to regret later. Focus on the things you enjoy and surround yourself with people that have your best interests.